So today's a pretty exciting day to be a Flash developer because Adobe has just released the first public beta of Flash Player 10. So this player has got tons of new features for both designers and developers. So if you go to the Adobe Labs site, labs.adobe.com/technologies/Flash Player 10, you can download this new beta version of Flash Player 10. You can see a bunch of demos to see some of the new features running. And you can also get started creating some content for Flash Player 10. So it's important to note that at this point there is no tooling support available. So there is no version of Flash CS3 or Flex Builder that can actually produce Flash Player 10 content. But there is a version of the command line MXML-C compiler that you can use to create Flash Player 10 content. And in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can get set up with that to start playing around with some of these new features. So from the Labs page here, the first thing you're going to want to do, obviously, is to first get Flash Player 10 installed. So it's important that you carefully read the instructions here about uninstalling previous versions of the Flash Player. So you want to do that first. Then download and install Flash Player 10. Once you have that set up, what you want to do is to go to Features and Demos. And from here, there's a demo that was created by Grant Skinner, and you should be able to see this stuff. So by clicking on here, you can see these are some of the new 3D features. So you just want to verify again that you have Flash Player 10 installed before you start even thinking about creating content for it. So once you have it installed, you want to come down here to number 6 where it says download a Flex SDK daily build to start developing content targeting Flash Player 10. So that takes you to this page on opensource.adobe.com. And it's, again, important that you follow these instructions kind of to the letter if you want to get things working correctly. So the first thing you need to do is to grab a nightly build from Download Flex 3. And you want to get one that's dated Thursday, May 15th. And I'll click on this now to show you. So from here, here's a page with the Flex 3 SDK downloads. Now right now it's this first one right here, so Thursday, May 15th, 2008. You're going to want to download that. So you're going to click that, and you have to agree to the licensing agreement. You're going to download that, and it's about 80 megs. Now I've already downloaded this, so I'm just going to stop it. So I've downloaded this to my desktop. Now the next thing, let me go back to this page. Once you've got it downloaded, obviously you want to unzip it. So here is the folder on my desktop. So I have Flex SDK 3. Now what we have to do here is to edit an XML file to basically tell MXML-C that we should be targeting Flash Player 10, not Flash Player 9. So you want to go into that Flex SDK 3 folder, and you want to go to Frameworks, and then this is the XML file that you want to edit, this flexconfig.xml. So I'm just going to go open that in TextMate, and here again you're going to want to follow these instructions exactly the way it's written here. So the first thing you have to do is to look down to the target player tag. Now I've already made these changes in this file, but essentially right here, this target player tag, you're going to want to change whatever value's in there to 10.0.0. The next thing you want to do is go to the external library path tag. So let's see, I'm going to scroll down here. So right here, you want to change the 9 to a 10. So it should be libs/player 10/player global.swic. The next thing is the library path tag. So again, I'm going to scroll down a little bit here. And here you want it to look exactly the way it is here in the instructions. So it should be libs/player 10, and then the path element, this bottom one, you can just leave the same. So now it's important to note that there are instructions here for how you can actually use Flex Builder to write the code. But what I'm going to do is just do it from on the command line version, because again, I don't want to be assuming that you already have Flex Builder, or perhaps maybe you don't want to muck with Flex Builder because you have things running the way you want. So again, I'm going to be showing you how to set things up so that you can program in any text editor whatsoever and just use the command line compiler. Okay, so once you have that set up, I'm going to open up TextMate. So I'm just going to be using TextMate to create a Flash Player 10 Swift file. Again, you can use any text editor whatsoever. On Windows, you can use Notepad or whatever you'd like. So what I'm going to do is create a new document. I'm just going to call it start.as. And again, since this is an ActionScript 3 project, and if you're not used to doing ActionScript only projects, your main class has to be a subclass of Sprite. So it's similar to the concept of the document class when you're using Flash CS3. So I'm going to create a new Sprite subclass, and I have a little template here for that in TextMate. And I'm just going to save it to the desktop as start.as. Okay, so here's my basic class structure for my project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a couple of new features that are in Flash Player 10. That way when I compile it, I'll be able to tell whether I'm actually using the Flash Player 10 compiler. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be creating a text field. So I'm going to need to import flash.text. Now, the way in which you set up the stage, if you're not using Flex Builder or Flash CS3, is you use the Swift metadata tag. So I have a shortcut for that. So essentially, this is the format that it takes. You want to do it before you actually create your class, but after the imports. So you just create a Swift metadata tag like this, and you can change the width, height, background color, and frame rate. So again, I'm going to leave all these at these values. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is in my class, I'm just going to create a private variable called TF, and it's going to be a text field. Now, another new feature in Flash Player 10, which developers are going to be really excited about, is that we now have typed arrays. So in previous versions of Flash Player, if we created an array object, we could put any type of content. We could mix and match. The first item in the array could be a string. The second one could be an integer. But with Flash Player 10, we have what's called a vector, which is essentially a typed array. So what we're going to do is make use of that here, and that way we'll know in the resulting movie if we're successfully compiling for Flash Player 10. So again, I'm going to create another private variable, and I'm just going to call it vector, and it's going to be of type vector. Now the way the syntax for a vector is a little bit different. So you say vector, and then you say dot, and then in angle brackets you put the type that you want this vector to be. So we're going to do it of type string. So essentially this is similar to creating a new array, but we're saying every item in this vector needs to be a string, and if not, we're going to get a compile time error. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the constructor, and let's just set this up. So equals new text field, and let's initialize our vector. So vector is equal to new vector, and again it's going to be string in angle brackets, and close it like that. Now let's add a couple of items into this vector. So again, I'm going to use syntax that's similar to what we do for an array. So I'm going to say the first element inside of that vector, let's give it a string, Flash Player 10 rules. Now just to check